Right.
Like, I thought she was a story, and then she was gone, and then it like kept going. I was like, oh, this bitch's still here. And then like in row, I was like, oh, she's still here too. Oh, she getting married? Like, oh, this I thought she was gone.
Okay, I've started I've started the recording.
You can keep it if you need to. Keep it all in.
I very well might. Hi everyone. Welcome to the Home for Anime. Welcome to Falling Starcatcher. I am Cameron, the host, founder, what have you. Thank you for joining us. I'm here, second part of our Holic episode. This time talking about Holic K with my good friend, my brother Robert. Robert, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Excited to talk more, get into the meat of the show, I guess.
yes, for everyone who is watching this live, it's been 2 weeks. For us, it has been 3 minutes. I can't believe you said that.
I just, I have a terrible memory, so
No, it's
I
fine.
really thought she was there for a minute and gone.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So, just to set the ground rules, because this is a new episode, Robert, you and I can both agree that we are not better than anybody.
Yep.
We both know that animation is an incredible medium and that it takes a large team and it takes a lot of work to make happen. And we will always be respectful of the material unless it is just an abhorrent crime against humanity, which luckily Holic K is not.
If we trash it, do I get a cease and desist from all the Clamp members signed? Because
I mean,
I would
I'm
love
gonna
to hit a
I'm gonna
sign.
sign it because I kid you not, in being a sequel, I feel like it perfectly rounds out Holic. You know how in the 90s and the 80s we used to get these 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 episode anime, and then we
Yeah.
kind of started making things either half a year or a quarter of a year, and that would be the season. I feel like you needed the 2 seasons to make one whole, which is Holic. So Holic K, in my opinion, once you have Holic, is actually it's what makes Holic one of the best anime of all time.
K really brings in like the payoffs that you're kind of waiting for. The better, the it's better sounds awful. The deeper storytelling, the almost what the show is capable of doing when
Mhm.
they're given a little more time and the stories develop and the payoff starts coming in.
Right. Because where the first season for the most part was episodic, this one is more serialized. We get actual, I don't know if you want to call them arcs or if you want to call them subplots, but they take between 3 and 5 episodes to get some things figured out. So we have one that, and you mentioned this last episode, it follows through on how Watanuki is a very self-sacrificial person to the point where he thinks that he's helping others by putting himself down, not realizing that there are people who care about him and that it is hurting him and it costs them too.
And that's so good for them to spend the time to talk about it or to show that, because I think we often, or most people probably, you give yourself to other people willingly and then don't really account for yourself. And obviously, Clamp's obsession with one-eyed characters, we love it. But going to the extreme, even the little ways that we give ourselves to people and don't take our own self into consideration or how other people feel is done so well. And just like the first season where they tell these deep stories without making it feel like they're bashing you over the head with a plot or it's a Sunday night special or an after TV school special, it still gets these messages across with being entertaining, enjoyable, fun, and not feeling heavy handed.
Yeah, it's actually interesting that you say that because in thinking about it, I really didn't feel like these stories were super heavy. I feel like there's a degree of levity that is brought to each of these, I think, 3 or 4 stories that, we have Watanuki sacrifice his eye to get Domeki's back, and we see the fallout from that. And that teaches him a lesson that he's slowly been learning throughout season 1. We see kind of what Watanuki's life could have been like. We see what it's like for him to try to take up for others. It's very him focused, I would say, as to where the first season was kind of a mix between him and Yuko. But we also see, and you can tell me if you remember this differently, there is also a subtle shift in Watanuki and Yuko's relationship that I really liked. Because as we stated before, Watanuki doesn't have parents. And what I noticed in season 2 NK is that Watanuki actually sleeps at Yuko's house now to, make them food or whatever the case. But really, and apparently it gets kind of weird later on down in the story, but I don't know because I can't collect the manga. Go figure. That's a story for another time. But it gets weird later on, but for right now, you get this feeling that not only is Yuko fine as hell, but she's also not just a teacher for Watanuki. She's kind of like a surrogate parent.
Yeah.
And
I at some point I assumed I missed a part where he moved in, and then there's 1 or 2 times that he sleeps in his apartment with nothing.
mhm.
And I'm sure clearly to show us the difference of his life when he's there and when he's not. But he does start to really live there, move in there, be there more often, and definitely he's aware that she's going to charge him. But there's an enjoyment there, like you said, an understanding of who she is and who he is, and a relationship that's built far beyond just maybe his curiosity or just maybe his need, but more of a bond between the two of them.
Yeah, which is how it becomes more him centric. I mean, Yuko is still there. She's still very entertaining, but it's more so she's really just letting things play out even more because I think in the first season she's actually a bit more active in his development, even though she's sending him out to do certain things. In the second, it's really, really evident that she knows what's going on, but she's just like, I am not doing this because we see finally a better idea of what it is that she is preparing him for. And one of those things is that this is just someone who she sees with low self-esteem. This is somebody who has great spiritual talent, a great spiritual gift, and a want to help others, which makes him the perfect successor for one day taking over the shop,
Yeah,
which I think is her end goal.
that is, I from my understanding, where she's going with everything, and I truly want to finish the whole piece out
Mm-hmm.
of how it all goes down. And I do have a understanding a little bit from Subasa and Holic, kind of how they overlap and what they connect to, but without reading both of them from beginning to end, which now is my goal.
Mm-hmm.
It still misses some of the pieces, and I think that is fun to see. But in the series, even if you just watch the anime, I think it's very clear what she's trying to do, the lessons he learns, and the very clear giving up his eye to the very clear statement with, if I'm jumping too far ahead, you can pull me back, but with Himawari, where he chooses to not say, I'll sacrifice myself, I'll give up, I'll make it happen. Like he makes the choice to not sacrifice himself for her, knowing that how she would feel. And they have, I think it's probably only a minute of dialogue back and forth between Yuko and Watanuki acknowledging that he finally understands um, that he has grown to that point through the series.
I'm actually really glad that you brought up Himawari because remember in the first season that I said there were three side characters and one, I mean, excuse me, three main characters and one side character. Himawari is someone who, by no fault of her own, has been operating as a method to Watanuki's madness the
Yeah,
entire time. And it all comes to a full crescendo because she does some irreparable damage. And we see throughout the show, throughout probably the second and third arc, how it is affecting him. And I was just kind of thinking the entire time, okay, this has been alluded to several times. Yuko is saying, I don't think that Himawari is necessarily your lady luck.
yeah,
And I also thought there's always that protector role that Domeki has of Watanuki in the spiritual sense, but it made a lot more sense as to why he always tried to be there when they were eating lunch together. So I mean, of course, yeah, he did want the food. He did. Because Watsunuki is a great cook and Shizuka Domeki is like you're cooking for me. That's one part of it, of course. But also I think that without realizing it, he kind of knows that there's something wrong with Himawari.
yeah.
And so he always takes on that natural role of protector to shield Watanuki wherever he can, which is pretty great.
And that's where I, as much as at first I want to make them kiss and then be lovers, I do appreciate, especially in the rewatch, how much Domeki protects Watanuki, how much he cares about him, how much Watanuki ends up having a relationship with him, like this mutual trust and friendship. And it is, I say beautiful, but beautiful in a sense that they have this bond and this friendship amongst everything, and these kind of two polar opposites, the attraction and repulsion of spirits, and how the two of them come together and their connection and their ties all together. And I truly love that piece of it.
Yeah, season two really does drive home through these different stories, these one-offs that we experienced through season one, and how they really brought everyone together in season two. Because if you didn't have season one, and if Domeki and Watanuki hadn't been through all the things that they had been through, that entire first arc wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And Watanuki wouldn't have learned about, okay, maybe I shouldn't be so self sacrificial because I don't know who it's hurting. Because
Mm-hmm.
the person who I think I hate the most is the one who ultimately is almost always looking out for me. And this is what it does to me. So this all of season one, well, this is why I say it's perfect. These two together make the perfect anime because season one, through all its wacky misadventures, brings weight and meaning to season two because it's to the point. You remember the child spirit medium, uh, Kohane? Is it Kohane?
Yeah. Con, I believe. Yeah.
Watanuki, for the most part, will not see her without Domeki.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's an accident. I don't think that he's scared of her by any means. But I think he feels better having Domeki around, and I think Domeki feels better because also Watanuki is kind of weak. He's like, I don't want anything happening to this guy. I can't fully explain why I don't want anything bad to happen to this guy, but I don't want anything bad to happen to this guy. Like, I feel like it's my responsibility. And he's played by the guy who plays Zorro, so I don't know. He's got that stoicism, and you're right. Watanuki is just kind of like a chihuahua, and so that going back and forth, and just them being, it is a really beautiful bond, and I like how the show builds upon that. Even when Domeki doesn't need to be involved, like what happened at the end of the season with the fall,
Mm-hmm.
where I don't. Oh no, they did say what he paid, but he paid a price
And
just so that Watanuki would survive, and he's always doing things like that.
I am far too impatient, so when they wouldn't tell me right away what he paid, I like pulled up my phone to Google it, and then like 5 seconds later, they
They
said that he
just said
paid
it,
blood, and I was like, I guess I could have waited a moment or for a commercial break. Too damn impatient for that.
but no, really, just how story driven it is between the arc with the eye, the arc with Kohane, which I thought it was really nice that Watanuki had someone who was like him, but also they like they did with season one. They always made that distinction of like, don't say that somebody is like you because no one is really like you. You don't know what someone's
Mm-hmm.
going through. So kind of like how they peppered in those lessons in season one, they're still doing that in season two.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wow, they are similar, and then it's like, no, you guys share experiences, but you are not similar, and you shouldn't say that. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, I never thought that the "he just like me for real" meme could actually be slightly harmful.
In Kohane, it takes. It's nice to see her how she takes what Watanuki has and how it's used differently, exploited in some ways, and then respected. But also Kohane's uh, interaction with it between herself. Like when she goes on the talk show and she says what she sees, she doesn't argue, she doesn't yell, and like, you know, that's part of her character. But also there's this calmness of like, for me, interpreting not having to fight or not having to disagree, or like that was her truth. That is what she saw. She wasn't going to argue with other people. They're going to believe what they want to believe, and that was it. And she's not my favorite character by any means, but I do respect that about her, and I really do like the other element of her story of just how quickly people turn on you. And I think we see that with pop celebrities all the time. One minute they're so exciting and people love them, the next they say something and we hate them. And sometimes they deserve it, sometimes they don't. But I think Kohane had a lot of those lessons built into her character that were fun to watch through.
I'm so glad that you said that because, sorry, I'm a little sick. Sabrina Carpenter. I am single as of this recording. That's all. That's all.
Get it out there for her.
Just put it out there because you're right. People do turn on celebrities, so this is February 22nd. No one has turned on Sabrina Carpenter yet.
Yeah. After
Yeah.
the Muppets,
Oh yeah, no.
I'm
After
good.
the Muppet, she was good. Jokes
I
aside, jokes aside, I, I did like what they had to say about celebrity status because that is very tough in Japan. Like really hard. I remember reading about the Haruhi Suzumiya lady.
I don't know. I'm familiar with the show in general, but not really.
It was rough. But there are people who get penalized for way less, and they step down from roles. They get harassed. They are serious sometimes about that stuff. So it was wild to see that happen to a child of all things. And she just had so much that she was juggling. And somehow in the episodes that she was in, that arc was really hers.
Hmm.
And I think you made a good point about showing what Watanuki could and couldn't do because he very much wanted to have some sort of control over the situation, But this was just him learning, like he's kind of been learning the entire time. You can't take everything on yourself, and there are certain things that no matter how badly you want to fix, it's simply not up to you,
Yeah.
which I
Which is
thought
a
was
huge part of the show.
crazy. Yeah, yeah, it is. It is because nothing is a coincidence. Nothing is a coincidence, and it was one thing that Yuko said about their specific meeting about Watanuki and Kohane was, now that you've met, now that your fates have intertwined, they cannot unintermingle, something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
Which again is something that it kind of stuck with me for a while. Um, have you ever seen this movie starring Tom Hiddleston called The Life of Chuck?
No.
So it's told in 3 acts, but it starts with Act 3 and ends with Act 1. And this entire movie is about a dead man.
Uh,
So in Act 3, there's this town basically, and it's saying thanks Chuck for, I think it was like 40, either 30 or something, 30 something or 40 something years. And everyone's just like, who is Chuck? You know? And then the world ends. We don't know who these people are. We just know that Chuck is Tom Hiddleston. Like, was he a politician? Was he a real estate agent? We don't know. In part two, we meet Chuck. And the narrator says Chuck is going to die. And I don't know if he said it was a few months or a few years. And then it says, but he doesn't know that yet. He's not sick yet. And it's just this dance number. But we see some of the people who Chuck meets. And we then go to Act One, which is Chuck as a child and as a teenager. And the people who we see Chuck meet in Acts 2 and 1 are all the people who are in this world in Act 3. So the world ending is the end of Chuck's life. And there's this thing that I believe his teacher teaches him where it says, I contain multitudes. Everybody that I meet is something that is added to my universe.
huh.
So every meeting has a meaning, and it's really, really well symbolized. And I'm so upset that this movie didn't do better at the box office, but it's really well symbolized by the fact that in Chuck's mind, in this world that ends, everybody that he has met is together somewhere in this society. Oh, and Matthew Lillard's in it, and I just love him. Fucking Shaggy, man. But I got that when I watched Holic and when I heard what Yuko said about Kohane and Watanuki's meeting, because what that does is that adds to the multitude, because all of that is not happenstance. It all happened for a reason, and because it happened meant that it was supposed to happen, not just for the events to unfold, but because it was to add layers to Watanuki's character. And when I say character, I'm not just talking about this person who is being written. I mean on a actual, I will say, human level. This is a young man who has a lesson to learn and needs this specific person to teach him this layer of the lesson.
Yeah. And even I will, even with people that I really don't like, I still in that moment, like I have to find a way to get through it and it's not trying to be altruistic or better, but just like to make my life less frustrating, I need to figure out what I'm learning from this person so that I can just be like, well, you know what? If nothing else, I hate them. I don't want to talk to them, but they taught me this. And like the show demonstrates that with these interconnections, the relationships, the meetings they have, the no coincidence, right? Like it all ties those pieces together so, so wonderfully.
Right. And really, the biggest thing about Holic, in saying that there's no such thing as coincidence, in saying that everything happens for a reason, it brings to my mind, and I think this is what I love about Holic the most. This is what inspired it to be one of my favorite series, period. There is no accident in the fact that everything, down to the fact that you and I are making this episode right now, that all of the experiences that we have had led to this one. I mean, it's significant to us in this moment, but over the course of all of history, of all of humanity, this one insignificant speck that means something to us and to the people who watch and who have been friends with us, who have loved us for so many years. This is a culmination of that. And then the people who are going to watch it in the future, like, nothing is for no reason. That, whether you call it God, whether you call it the universe, fate, what have you, everything is meant to be, whether that be good or bad. And that actually kind of helps me sleep at night. And that's what Holic brings to me. It brings a sense of comfort and a sense of finality, down to the fact that I have to just accept that one day I am going to die. And that's okay.
In the big cosmic universe, I know we interact in social media and texting and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know I was watching Subasa when you messaged me about watching Holic?
No kidding.
I decided to I'd never finished Subasa, the series. I watched the first season and the movie and gave up. And then I have been on this journey in my lifetime to make my husband watch all of Clamp or understand all of it. And I was like, we need to just watch Tsubasa. You've never done it. Like, we've done at this point everything else except I think RG Veda's OVA. Anyways, doesn't matter. So we were watching a Holic or watching Tsubasa, and I'm pretty sure while we were watching it is when you messaged about how he felt about watching a Holic. And I was like, whoa, no such thing as coincidence.
Wow. Okay, that is very, very interesting. You've never told me that. That is
We have
incredible,
not finished
actually.
it.
It's so funny too that you mentioned that, because so we're recording this, like I said, February 22nd. February 22nd, Sabrina Carpenter. Uh for Christmas, somebody bought me the Subasa Chronicles DVD box set. And I haven't watched it, but another friend of, I think, both of ours, Faye Moon, you know what I'm talking
Oh
about?
yeah.
She told me that Holic and Subasa were connected, which is why I said, all right, well, let me go ahead and get this. I haven't watched it yet. So you and I were doing the exact opposite thing.
Let me just spoil Tsubasa for you.
Go ahead.
It's not great. I Subasa, it in its core is really good, and the
Mm-hmm.
manga I think is really good. I don't know what happened with the translation to the anime. I don't know if it was budget, if it was time, if the story wasn't fleshed out enough that they felt they could pull it out. The first season has some really good arcs, and usually you're familiar with the story roughly, right?
No, I have no idea.
I won't spoil too much, but they travel from world to world. Some worlds are really good stories and some drag. And there's just something about when it was translated to the anime that just the slogs in it are so bad. When it hits, but then when it slumps, it slumps. And there's some really good payoff with the connection, but it's much later in the series, and there's some really good revelations of who the characters are to each other. Um, but yeah, it's I if you do go from this to Tsubasa, it is, in my opinion, a stark difference between the animation quality, style, storytelling. It's a rough flop.
What about the character designs?
Oh, beautiful, except I think in the anime they flop.
I see.
It just doesn't translate to me as well. And I love Clamp and I'm an apologist for them. And I think everything they do is beautiful and wonderful. But Subasa, the anime, just doesn't hold up to. I think the music in Holic is more enjoyable, even though it's repetitive.
Mm.
And I don't need to go on this tirade
No,
about it.
it's fine.
It's just isn't the same quality to me, and it's frustrating, especially because I was watching. We finished the first season of Subasa. The ending of the first season is really strong, and then you go to Holic, and I was expecting to be like, okay, it's gonna be the same quality, and I think Holic is just worlds better for whatever reason. I don't know if it just translates better to the, like you said, the episodic storytelling or what, but it you can tell they're connected, but it feels like two different stories at two different times.
I am now slightly less excited to watch Subasa, but I'll still do it. But it's so funny because we decided early on that we weren't going to talk about the Holic movie Midsummer Night's Dream, but it tripped me up so bad the first time I watched it because that is the only thing that shows us that there is a connection between Subasa and Holic.
And
And it's
Subasa's first episode ends in Holic.
and it is so in the Holic Midsummer Night or the first
No,
episode
in
of season one.
the first episode of Tsubasa, season one, they visit Yuko, and that's what starts their journey.
Oh,
The first episode's a banger. It's the
wow.
music, the characters, the plot is so good. But like I said, there's a pacing issue that just doesn't seem to ever resolve itself,
Mm,
and that's what makes it kind of worse. And the character designs are in the anime are a little rougher. But the first episode, we you meet Yuko, and they talk to her for a moment, and then the journey begins for the Tsubasa characters.
I see. Well, that is okay. Well, that clears something up for me because I remember watching that and just being like, what am I watching? But we're here to talk about K. I think that we have successfully done that. I think that it is one of the closest things to perfection. It's not Violet Evergarden, but I would say it's way more enjoyable. Like, is probably the most enjoyable anime I have
It
probably ever seen. Or it's
it's great.
the most fun that I've had with an anime, even if it's not the objectively most good.
Himawari's reveal.
Yeah,
I just have to comment on it. It's so, even knowing it was coming, the episode end with that revelation going into the next episode. It's so good. I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it.
that is like the epitome of a mom saying to her son, "I told you that bitch was trouble."
That that damn Jinx, get away from
That
her.
is that is very much how I think Yuko felt in that moment.
Yeah.
Which it's February 22nd. Yuko, I'm sorry. I'm done. Salma Hayek, I'm done. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just I've never been so infatuated with a character's design and fashion. I could just go on about that, but I'm not going to. This is a very, very strong anime, very strong second season. You need to watch the first so that you can appreciate the second even
Yeah.
more. And also, you would not understand a thing. And that is the other thing that I love about it being a season two. If you were just to watch K, even more than if you were to watch a finale movie to an anime, This is the most, I have no idea what's going on if I don't watch the first season ever.
And don't try to jump in with is Row the last two episodes. If you start with those, you're done.
There's Row, and then there's another one. Um, the channel that we saw this on did not have one of the series, but it had four, and I think it was Row, the one that we saw. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm actually not sure which one it was, but I do know it has Holic season one, Midsummer Night's Dream, and Holic K, which I think are the three things that you really only need to watch,
Yeah.
because
In a
there's that perfect finality and also the kind of Pokemon esque, and the journey continues.
I do have we can off podcast this,
Mm-hmm.
but I do have the movie saved, the live action to watch. I've never watched it and I've been intrigued. So I think we should watch it and text each other during it because I am very curious.
Where can I even find that?
I'm pretty sure it's on Crunchyroll. It's on some general streaming service,
I'm
and I'm sure you can sail the seas and find it. But I think it is on Crunchyroll.
You're right. I can. So, all right, Robert. What what have we learned today? I've learned that I just really love mystical older women. So actually, no, I haven't learned anything at all because I already knew that.
I have learned if one bell isn't enough, get a second bell. If two bells aren't enough, get four bells. If four bells aren't enough, get eight. Just keep getting bells.
That episode was so funny. I'm sorry. She's just like, the entire time she's like, "Am I a joke to you?"
And Yuko's like, yes, yes, you
Yeah,
are.
pretty much. You're not even real, literally. Well, Robert, this has been fun. I think
Agreed.
that we can sign off here. Uh, Salma Hayek, I am single. I am available. It's February 22nd. And thank you so much for joining me. Thank you all for listening. Do you have any last things that you want to say before we sign off?
Watch Holic. Watch
Thank you.
Clamp. Read Clamp. So
There we
good.
go. All right. Well, thank you all. And until next time, take care.